Do you want to be on the right side or left?
This is my good side.
Oh, all right, I'll be on that side. Yeah, I got you.
I'm cool. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
That's alone time stretching. Hello, everyone. If you can start taking your seats. We're going to get started soon. Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me well?
Oh, mine is.
Hi. Can they hear me?
Yeah.
That's working, but I can't hear myself. You can hear me? Okay. Oh, okay. Hello, everyone. Hello. Hello, welcome to MIT 100K Pitch 2022. I'm Ezgi, I'm one of the managing directors along with Jimmy here, and we're really, really excited to welcome here today. The MIT 100K cheers. The MIT 100K competition started over 30 years ago when a group of students approached Professor Ed Roberts about the idea of living the MIT motto of mens et manus through a new startup competition. Ed loved the idea and quickly helped the students raise a sum of $10,000. And that was enough to spur an explosion of student interest and engagement that continues to this day. Through the generosity of some key long-term sponsors, the 10K became the 50K, and then a few years later became the 100K. The 100K is now not simply a one-evening event like it used to be, but a year-long journey that begins with today's pitch competition, followed by Accelerate in March, and launch in May. And in May, in launch, the winners are going to get the Robert P. Goldberg Grand Prize of $100,000. I think sometimes I forget how lucky we are to be in this amazing entrepreneurship ecosystem at MIT. For those considering applying, you don't have to apply only for pitch. You can come in on Accelerate or Launch. So let us know if you're interested in applying.
Awesome. And so in November, over 80 teams applied to compete in tonight's event. And our network of external judges reviewed each application in the preliminary round. Our judges come from a wide range of backgrounds, from entrepreneurs to VC investors and to scientists. And so this evening, the top 15 teams will present their pitches and answer questions from a live panel of distinguished judges. They will compete for the grand prize of $5,000, the audience choice of $2,000, and the second and third place prizes of $1,000 each.
Before we jump in, we want to thank those who made this event possible. First, we want to give a big thank you to our sponsors this year, Platinum sponsor Akamai, and Gold, Wolf Greenfield and Morgan Lewis. The funding that they provided enables us to have this competition tonight and provide the prize money and the funding for this entire competition. In addition to their support, our sponsors also serve as mentors and guides for our teams and for our organizing committee members.
So we would also want to say our thank you to the preliminary round judges who really volunteered their time reviewing applications and providing the crucial feedback necessary for this competition to run. So thank you so much for your time and commitment. Let's give a round of applause to all the preliminary judges. And now to really introduce the judges on the panel tonight, we have Jaden, who is Vice President of X Fund, an early stage investor originating from Harvard and which was born through a collaboration between some of the world's leading VC funds, Excel, NEA, and Polaris. And prior to X Fund, Jaden was the CSO of Harvard Student Agencies, the world's largest student-run company. And she has been a frequent mentor at the Harvard Innovation Labs. Thank you for coming out and to support our competition, Jaden. Next, we have Jifei Oh, who is one of MIT's own graduates. He holds a master's and a PhD at the Media Lab and is currently the CEO of OPT Industries, a venture-backed company bringing to life and commercializing his vision for additive manufacturing at unlimited lengths on the micron level. Welcome back on campus, Jifei. You're undoubtedly an inspiration to many of the teams presenting today. Thank you. Next, we have Ian who is a senior associate from the Engine. The Engine is the MIT's own venture fund supporting tough tech startups across climate, health, and advanced systems. Ian holds a PhD from the University of Pennsylvania in pharmacology and has spent time at Putnam Associates as a life science consultant. We at the 100K are immensely grateful for the Engine's contribution and continuous support, holding workshops, sending amazing people like Ian to our competition. So thank you so much to both Ian and the Engine. And last, and certainly not the least, we have Jason, who is the managing partner of Athenian Capital, a prolific venture capital fund investing in the adoption and advancement of AI and Web3. Jason has had over 15 years of experiences founding various consulting firms and advising a number of early-stage companies. Jason is a graduate from Northeastern and the chairman of the Progressive Research Group, a nonprofit think tank. We're delighted to host you today.
We also want to thank everyone on the 100K organizing committee. Our team members invested countless hours to ensure that this event runs smoothly, and without them, none of this would be possible. We also want to recognize our audio and visual production teams at MIT who have been so helpful to us. Thank you.
So to the competition itself, we'll be hearing 15 pitches today. Each team will have 90 seconds to present their pitch, followed by a 2.5 to 3 minute Q&A session with our esteemed panel of judges. At the end of the 15 pitches, the judges will begin deliberations for the winners, and we'll ask the audience to vote for the Audience Choice Award. And for those of us joining here, us in person, you have the ability to scan this QR code, which will be on the screen later on. And if you're watching through the webcast, there's a link to the voting from the landing page. The voting form will be open once the last pitch is completed.
And later this evening, while the judges are deliberating, we'll also have the honor of hearing from John Hawthorne, a legend in MIT in Boston, a 2007 Sloaney, and actually a past managing director of the 100K. He's the founder and managing director of Two Lanterns Venture Partners, and he's also very well known as the founder, director, and former CEO of the infamous Mass Challenge.
And so to all of our competitors tonight, we wish you the best of luck. And to our audience, thank you for tuning in. Please sit back and enjoy the show. And before we get started, let's give a round of applause to all the teams that participated in the competition this year. We look forward to hearing from you in the future. Without further ado, let's get to the pitches.
Woo! So first off, we have UFAM Mortgages. UFAM Mortgages is a digital mortgage technology platform creating the new world of affordable mortgage credit. Come on.
Hi, everybody. Okay. Imagine being the most valued customers whereby banks offer you various products, mobile banking, small business loan, a line of credit. However, they don't have a product for your biggest expense, housing. This is the experience of 238 million Africans. For example, in Kenya, the average interest rate mortgage is between 11 and 13%. So, if you take out a mortgage for 15 years, you will end up paying such a colossal sum that you'll be denying yourself a solid capital base. UFAM Mortgages is an originator who works with the institutional lenders where we share the risk. We'll be using data to do data mining and to understand and create a new risk model for this unserved population. And lastly, we will also be using innovative loan structuring for the ownership of the loan. With the emergence of Kenya Remortgage Finance Company, we believe that this is the time to create an affordable mortgage product where we can serve this underserved, yet growing middle class, whereby they can have an ownership stake in their cities, where they'll be able to create generational wealth, and lastly, and partake in the growth of Africa. Thank you.
Thank you. It was great. What credit considerations do you look at to help lenders reduce risk and manage risk better?
So, sorry, can you repeat that one more time?
What credit considerations do you look at to help lenders manage risk?
So we understand that this is a neglected population. They already have products for them. So we'll be considering there are other alternative credit scorings that they have holistically in other platforms. Also, we would like to understand how their transactions are. Usually, most of these people usually have cash, but they are not. It's not a steady income. Yeah. So what we will try to do is recreate that and see how their patterns are.
Good. Thank you.
How do you go about avoiding predatory approaches to this, where these mortgages are taking advantage of people in those situations?
That's a great question. I think the best way to say it is like, because the soul of my startup it's really social impact. And so what I will be doing is leveraging what we have in the US and what we've been able to learn over the years of the housing market and be able to migrate that. And it's a big concern, but I do believe that is the core of what we'll be doing as UFAM Mortgages.
Do you underwrite the actual mortgages yourself, or do you go through a third party, and how do you capture a part of that revenue?
So the way this structure is that we'll be taking a part of that loan, and then the second part the institutional owner the lender will take it. We will get a fee for the fact that we have de-risked this population, and the part of it is you said. Sorry, repeat
like,
that.
are you guys taking on the lending yourself? Or
we'll take a portion of that, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you so much, UFAM Mortgages. Up next, we have Proud. Their vision is to close the 85% unemployment gap across autistic college graduates.
No, don't worry. Okay. Jeremy is diagnosed with autism. His family is one of the 73 that receives this news on a daily basis in the US. Despite all odds, Jeremy graduates college, only to end up back at home without a job, unable to achieve financial independence. This happens to over 1.3 million autistic college graduates in the US, due to the fact that they may not look at people directly into the eye, or they may have different ways of socially interacting. And it's really challenging for them to establish connections with people. Meet Proud, an app that uses a psychology-based approach to better prepare autistic college graduates to enter the job market. Proud is after a total addressable market of 420 million that is comprised of the 1.75 million autistic college graduates who would pay a $20 monthly fee for access to the app. As the noon of autism employment inclusion, built by occupational therapists using an autism-friendly design approach, the Proud app will walk individuals like Jeremy through a gamified curriculum that will help him practice different skills, such as storytelling, informational interviewing, resume writing, and online branding, and also help him connect to a job coach to work one-on-one directly, which will be the difference between him sitting on the couch and having a job. Thank you.
Yeah, so how do you handle and manage the variability of people's issues with getting those jobs and handling that? I imagine it could go from interviewing through handling high-stress situations. How do you kind of manage that across that spectrum?
Yes. I think the beauty of the app is that it has a two-pronged approach. So there's an element that is for the autistic college graduates, where they practice the different skills that everybody actually needs in order to get a job. But there's also a component that embeds the companies to help managers understand what are the contributions that autistic college graduates can bring to the workplace and how to best work with them. So we believe that that's the path to accomplishing autism inclusion.
So what would be the first one or two or maybe three skill set that you would like to prioritize of training, and maybe which kind of like a career path that you think consider prioritize as the first, minimum product?
Yes, that's an excellent question. I believe the most important piece is actually having executive presence and really understanding how to communicate effectively with impact whenever they tell the story about what they've accomplished. I think for individuals who are autistic, it's hard for them to understand how to think linearly. So helping them establish a framework approach on how to communicate may be a positive way forward.
And just one last question, how do you determine the willingness to pay? I think you mentioned $20 a month. Is there a status quo that people are currently paying for that they'd switch from? Or is there another way that you've done consumer user testing?
Yeah, so we've actually conducted a couple of informational interviews and understand that there's an important relationship between the students and also their families and their parents who have an invested interest in making sure to maximize the potential of the students. And so between $10 and $20 is what we've seen that they would be willing to pay for a service like this.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
We are proud to have you. Up next, we've got Fazenda de Mama. That's our next team, and their plan is to bring fresh, healthy, and sustainable food straight from small and medium farmers to high-end consumers in Latin America.
Hello, everyone. Did you know that 70% of the food produced in Brazil comes from small and medium farmers? 70% from small and medium farmers. And still, these people is struggling to make their living. That's an absurd. On the other hand, there is a multi-billion-dollar market made of people who are willing to pay a premium for fresh, healthy, and sustainable food. Wouldn't you pay a premium to know where your food's coming from, to make sure it is fresh and reliable? So they will. And that's the inefficiency we came to solve. My name is Feiner. I have over than 15 years of professional experience, and including Amazon, and I'm here to present to you Fazenda de Mama. We are partnershiping with small producers in the countryside and bringing their products straight to high-end customers in big cities via subscription model. Basically, we're building Amazon for health and sustainable food in Latin America. And here's a bit of the traction we have already. We've been running a pilot for over than a year. We are serving dozens of customers. We have hundreds of customers on our waiting list. We have this amazing team in place. And now we need your help to speed up the process and to go even faster for the next steps. So if you also believe that we can change the world through food, let's do it together.
I have a question. What is the biggest challenge you anticipate in bringing food from rural farms to major cities?
Logistic, it's all about logistic. We've been operating our own logistics in the MVP, but that's going to be the major point for us to scale up. We've been thinking several ways to do so, but yeah, definitely this is the major challenge.
And how big is the market, would you say?
We are talking about being very, very conservative, about $4 billion a year in revenue. We're talking about 11 million rich households in Brazil alone. Our data shows that we can easily sell them $100 a month, 2 buckets of $50. And if we pick research shows that 70% of the rich people in Brazil is not only very concerned about sustainability issues, but also willing to change their consumer habits towards something more sustainable. If we not pick this 70%, but pick just 30% of these 11 million rich households, we're talking about 3.3 million households. It is $330 million a month, about $4 billion a year. Being very conservative and in Brazil alone.
Great, thank you.
Is there a scale you need to achieve in terms of that 70% of producers to make this economically viable and sustainable from a business side?
To be very honest, we've been bootstrapping this company from the beginning. It has been almost 2 years, my own money, a lot of our energy and time. So we're being very conservative. If we go to this next step, which is to expand the products, the unit economics is going to work from the beginning. So yeah, It's about like 1,000 households. It's easy to achieve, and that's what we are aiming for January.
What's some of the first products that you want to focus on delivering?
That's a great question. We started with just eggs. This is the MVP running. And by the way, we started the farm ourselves, so we are taking care from end to end up to the consumer house. Now we are expanding to 7 products, mostly easier ones to operate, that they don't decay so fast and they are not so sensitive to transportation and stuff like that. So we're talking about mushrooms, honey, potatoes, and so on. Anything else? Thank you very much. Thank you.
Next up is something I really, really need. Sleepro is a voice-based circadian diagnostic and management platform to optimize your sleep and wake cycles.
Circadian disruption is highly prevalent, but often underdiagnosed and untreated in our always-on society. More than 48 million Americans are facing burnout as routine issues. Productivity loss costs the US more than $400 billion every year. Clinical method to assess circadian health is expensive, invasive, and unpleasant. It requires serial sampling of blood and saliva. Consumer solutions currently are lacking clinical validity and effective interventions. We're here to bridge this gap, and here's how. Sleepro is a voice-based circadian clinic diagnostic and performance management platform empowered by the first ever clinically validated voice biomarker for assessing sleepiness, fatigue, and circadian phase. We're targeting a $5.1 billion B2C market for working professionals and students. Our proprietary voice biomarker and algorithm analyze users' circadian phase based on their recorded speech. Our app will propose customized best fit schedules, suggest optimal sleep-wake time, peak performance windows, and also prevent users from drowsy driving. This is Sleepro. We're here to help you achieve peak performance and through the circadian care. Thank you.
Super interesting product. How does the technology actually work? Does someone have to speak into their phone every day to work through this app? Or is it like one time and then there's a prescriptive, here's what you should follow? Yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah, so I will take that. We actually have a clinical trial ongoing in the Brigham and Women's Hospital. We are advised by professor from Harvard Medical School to conduct this experiment. And well, the details are classified due to our funding sources. But as you said, after we have these measurements, gold standard of how your voice actually reflects your circadian rhythm, our app will set baselines and stratification based on your demographics, because voice vary a lot depending on genders and stuff. With personalization, usually like the personalization takes around a week to set it up, and then we will have a customized voice estimation system just for the specific users.
Got it. Thank you.
Could you talk a little bit about your backgrounds, what qualifies you to create this? I think it's a great idea. If it works, you could all use it, I'm sure.
Yeah. So we are actually a team of PhD and master students from MIT and Harvard Medical School, and 3 of the team members are actually conducting clinical trials in Brigham and Women's Hospital. We're also very engaged in topic of sleep and circadian health. We have also team members with a lot of industry experience in consumer healthcare. So that makes us being strong in terms of expertise of digital healthcare and precision medicine.
Good. Who would you say your competitors are?
So currently, because we are targeting a 24-hour circadian phase, so this already differentiates us from most of the sleep products, which only targeting at 8-hour sleep time at night. For circadian interventions or monitoring, currently they rely on either user input schedules or phone activities, which is very rigid rules, doesn't take any bio signals. So our voice biomarker will be able to assess circadian phase instantaneously. So that's our strength.
Yeah, so literally on the market, there's no instantaneous, non-invasive method to assess your circadian phase. We got to take your saliva or blood to know it in the sleep lab. And we are the first to make it, accessible.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sleepro. Going to be your first customer. Up next, we have Dignitize, a B2B software that automates the wage data collection and analysis process.
One in 5 workers globally work full-time, but they make such low wages that they live in poverty. Thanks to the ESG movement, more and more companies are committing to paying ethical wages in their supply chains. And due to new regulations, it will soon be mandatory for many companies to report this information. The problem? Companies don't have the tools they need to collect and analyze wage data from complex supply chains. I know this because I saw it firsthand at an apparel company where it took us months and months to do this process. In reality, companies are still using Excel spreadsheets, lots and lots of spreadsheets. That's why we started Dignitize. Dignitize is an end-to-end software solution built specifically for the supply chain social responsibility teams. Our tool automates the wage collection and analysis process across supply chains. It not only helps users save time and improve efficiency, but it also helps companies adhere to regulations and reduce risk. We are starting with the apparel industry and will grow into CPG, agriculture, and electronics, all industries that are investing in social responsibility. As a B2B software with an annual subscription model, Dignitize is highly scalable. Our team has a mix of experience from startups, VC, supply chain responsibility, and product development. Ultimately, we're going to help companies prepare to confidently face the ESG future and ultimately improve wages for millions of workers worldwide. Thank you.
Got a question. How do you collect the data? I mean, how do you ensure its accuracy?
Yeah, so we collect the data from the suppliers through a software solution that Olivia talked about. Your question was specifically about the accuracy of the data? Yeah, so the accuracy, suppliers already have an incentive to be accurate about the data that they are supplying because the industry already has audits that are in place right now. It's mostly through third-party providers or industry associations that are coming on site to do spot checks. So there's a high risk for suppliers if the data that they're providing is not accurate because they might lose business from the buyers. That's the main incentive.
Gotcha. Thank you.
I think it's a similar question that I would assume, let's say H&M. I would assume H&M pay you for that, but then you're collecting data from the supplier of the H&M. How do you reinforce that they're going to give you that? And I think that's still a little bit unclear, yeah.
Yeah, so for many of those companies, they have relationships with their suppliers, and they're working together with them closely. As I mentioned, a lot of the apparel companies like H&M, for instance, they are allocating business based on specific metrics of the suppliers, and we're seeing that human rights and social metrics are becoming increasingly important. So a lot of companies have scorecards, basically, and then if a supplier performs poorly on something like ethical wages, for instance, then they would reallocate volume away from that supplier because it's a risk for the apparel firm, right? There's a reputational risk and compliance risk around that.
I can also reiterate that we're not trying to enforce any processes that aren't already happening. It's simply to drastically improve the efficiency of a process that's already happening and taking months and months. So all of those systems are already in place. We're not trying to make people do what they're not already doing.
Thanks.
After going through that process and doing kind of like a wage audit, what would keep companies on the platform to continually pay every month?
Yeah, we believe we can develop stickiness through our platform because essentially as we build out different suppliers on the platform, suppliers now only need to provide a single data request regardless of who their clients or customers might be at their factory. On the customer side, customers now are able to access all their data in one place. We plan to build out advanced visualization and report generation techniques that are compliant with the annual reporting specs for upcoming regulation. And so that's what we think will keep companies on our payroll.
Do we have time for one more question? Yes. I think it's similar to the last one on the competitor side. So there are already several services about the supplier audit. How do you prevent, like, what makes it different enough, like, for the existing current auditing system, people just add that as one of the feature for, what you're doing?
Yeah, so what we currently find in our competitor analysis is that gap isn't there. We see a lot of software service companies reporting analytics and gathering things in the ESG space, but they're a very hands-off, template-only based approach. On the other end, we talk to industry associations, which are very hands-on, very familiar, SMEs and kind of the labor expertise space, but they lack the technical expertise to build this software solution. So we're positioned right between the two to combine the experience of both. We think our experience on the team can give us that SME knowledge, and then the software adaptability will add functionality and value compared to the existing solutions today.
Yeah, thanks. Guess you look into a source map. It's also an MIT startup. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dignitize. Next up, we have Medicana. They're a two-sided marketplace that hopes to simplify the commercialization of medical technology internationally. Now we can clap.
At Medicana, we have one mission: to unlock global access to medical innovation. My co-founder and I share this passion. As Latina biomedical engineers, we're frustrated with the lack of access to medical innovation in our region. Can you believe that due to lack of diagnostics, a woman in Latin America is twice as likely to die of breast cancer than in the US? When I sold medical devices, I learned that the process is painful. After speaking with dozens of experts, we confirmed that it's slow, manual, and expensive. When selling a simple diagnostic test, I had to speak with hundreds of distributors, file regulatory paperwork, and do this over and over again. It took me 9 months for one sale. That's just one device in one country, and there's 20 in Latin America. This scares manufacturers from exporting their devices. Surgical robots, like the one that my co-founder develops, rarely make it to Latin America. For them, they miss out on a $7 billion market opportunity. For us Latinos, millions miss out on life-saving tech. Medicana bridges this gap. We're building a platform that simplifies commercialization of medical devices. We will connect manufacturers and distributors, automate the regulatory, and like a TurboTax for medtech sales, simplify a complex process, walking them step by step. We will make it faster, cheaper, and more efficient. And most importantly, increase access to healthcare to millions around the world. Thank you.
Great job. You had mentioned including the regulatory registration and work on that side. How do you plan to kind of manage the variability of regulatory hurdles across?
Obviously the part that's more available country to country is the regulatory, and so this is sort of our biggest impact in terms of software development. We are starting with that feature because through primary market research, we understand that that part and the matching services are the most important for manufacturers. And so we have a group of interns that are starting in January to sort of figure out these regulatory requirements. They do overlap a lot in countries in Latin America. So for example, if for a country you need 10 different documents, 80% of them are needed for the other countries. And so this is the benefit that the platform will automate, because you don't have to do it country by country. The platform will reduce that duplication of work.
What do you view as the most likely challenge to implementing this? It seems like the regulatory side of things would be pretty complicated, but what do you think?
Yeah, I think in terms of development, definitely there's a lot of information that we need to sort of transfer over to the automation and the software. We think that in terms of sort of proving to manufacturers, US-based manufacturers, that the Latin American market is profitable and how we're going to add value to their supply chain by reducing time and making it cheaper. That's another challenge that we have. We're in conversations with 3 different medical device companies to partner with them to start a pilot so that we can move forward and further our product market validation.
Yeah, also we've already done this in the past. We'll plan to use our existing experience, and since we have sold devices in more than 35 countries, demonstrate with that they can also do it as well.
Is there a specific device or technology that you're starting with?
Yeah, great question. We're going to start with products in the women's health field. So this is a field that's growing a lot. There's a lot of innovation with femtech and different startups, and it gives us a good position because there's a lot of small to medium-sized medical device companies that are innovating in this field that fit perfectly in our target market. Additionally, we have sold medical devices in this field, and so we have a strong network. And as women, we're obviously passionate about women's health. So.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Medicana, for the important work you're doing. And now for our 7th pitch of the night, we have Turvy, and they've set out to enable home renovation as a service. We're very excited to hear from you.
Okay. Did you know that in Colombia, over 70% of homes are delivered completely unfinished? The result is an incomplete system. Homeowners have to face the challenge of finishing their own units. This represents a multi-billion-dollar opportunity in Colombia alone. The Latin American market is ripe for disruption in home renovations. Turvy enables a tangible solution through a one-stop-shop platform that provides homeowners access to design, financing, and construction services to finish their units. In essence, we provide home renovation as a service. We use data analytics to maximize the value of the homes for the renovations. Oh my God, sorry. Our business model relies on a markup over the cost of finishing each unit and commissions over source loans through our platforms. To date, we've already finished 30 units, and we already have 2 developers and 2 lenders in our platform. My name is Alberto Cuellar, and together with the team Turvy, we are not only improving homes, we are creating a new living standard for the emerging middle class in Latin America. I missed a big part of it, sorry.
No, you're
a bit
good.
nervous,
You're
but
good.
okay.
Is your platform set up as more of a marketplace, or are you hand-delivering the services specifically with vendors that you've chosen?
That's a great question. So yeah, at the moment we act as a marketplace, and we directly source the subcontractors, and we supervise subcontractors for the units that we've developed so far. So we have a network of subcontractors that are basically, and we have our own supervisors to guarantee the quality of the finishes in these units.
And how much input is required from the homeowners to really assess that whole scenario?
So the thing is that most of these units are relatively standard. So with the area, the number of rooms and general space disposition, we can have a pretty close estimate. Yeah.
And I guess, are you assuming a relatively similar building materials as well, or do you account for
Yeah,
that?
so at the moment, through our platform, we offer 3 different alternatives. So in order to scale, we are trying to not allow an open degree of customization, but we have 3 different kind of kits that we use to kind of handhold the customers through the process.
You mentioned you already have a 30 units?
30 units to date, yes, sir.
What's the next milestone?
So the next milestone, actually, we're looking for team members to join our team, and investment, our milestone is to finish 400 units during the next year in Colombia. Yeah.
Thank you.
Great job, Turvy. Up next, we have New Shores, a vertical SaaS-enabled marketplace that will digitize outsourced manufacturing in Latin America.
Manufacturing imports to the US are worth north of $2 trillion. And over 50% come from China. Okay. Manufacturing imports to the US are worth north of $2 trillion, and over 50% come from Asia. Due to rising geopolitical and logistical challenges, 4 out of every 5 retailers are looking to diversify their supply chain. This is huge news for Latin America. With lower turnover rates and better economics, it makes a lot of sense to bring your operations to closer countries. So we're a vertical SaaS-enabled platform that connects US and Latin American manufacturers. Thank you.
Could you talk more about your business model? It can take years for companies like Apple to relocate from China to Mexico, wherever they're going. How does this work? What does it look like?
Yeah, basically how it works today is that if a US company wants to outsource their products, they look around and they, most of them go to Asia, right? And if they would try to nearshore, they're gonna go to a broker, or they're gonna build a shelter company, basically in Mexico, which is like a figure that they construct or build a manufacturing firm in Mexico, and they produce that, but it's very costly. And for the Latin American companies, what they do is that they also need to rely on brokers to build a relationship with the US companies, because otherwise it's impossible. And we're basically trying to bridge that gap, and we're trying to digitize what is the relationship between these US companies and the Mexican companies, or the Latin American companies, and bring like an end-to-end solution in one single platform that can later include financing, payments, working capital, etc.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, like, manufacturing is not technology itself, right? Like, so it really depends on what kind of thing you are making. If you're making clothes, you go in South Asia, and semiconductor, you go to Taiwan, all of this. What are some of the areas that you started seeing that Latin America have expertise that attract company to move there?
Yeah, we basically discuss a lot about which vertical to address. And what we ended up doing is that we're starting with the textiles. Why? Because I personally worked before in a Mexican manufacturing firm in Mexico. I have a network there. And then, as you said, specifically as you said, like if you're a US company, you go to Asia for manufacturing textiles. And there's a tailwind now after COVID and everything, that's the nearshoring, basically. So we're going to take advantage of the nearshoring. We're empowering like the US companies to provide or service their apparels, their clothes faster through Mexico, lowering their risks and allowing them to diversify that risk of supply chain.
How do you kind of maintain the stickiness of the platform and like what parameters are you assessing for people on both ends, as the manufacturer side and those who are the customers, to assure that there's no fraud or poor services and people want to continue leveraging this process?
So yeah, I think that's probably the biggest challenge that we see, is how to build trust in the platform. So how to like bring people first to the platform and then how to like keep them there. So that's actually a great question, something that we're thinking about. In terms of the trust, I think it's kind of like a matter of time and like also kind of like a bit of like scale and like network effects. But in terms of having people just like once they actually are there, have to like how do you keep them using the platform? We plan to add more services and features that they can keep using. So specifically for the US companies, and you know, we mentioned this before, providing them tools for operational visibility, which is right now one of the big problems that US companies have. They work with a Mexican partner, but they don't have a lot of visibility, and there's disconnected systems. And then on the Mexican manufacturer side, there's a lot of working capital pain points, and that's how we can keep stickiness. And then we're also considering how to have the payments from the US companies to the Mexican partners flow through the platform as well.
Great job, New Shores. Up next is something I need to sign up for. We're welcoming Vesta, and they're helping people make global friends, explore new cultures, and earn money doing it. Woo!
City and thought, oh, all the attractions are so touristy, I want something more. Or have you ever wanted to have an authentic meal with a local family to really get to know their culture? Hi, my name is Gaduz, and I'm one of the co-founders of Vesta, which helps you find a local guide for your dream vacation. From sharing cultural differences and matching local guides with customers, Vesta helps you From sharing cultural traditions to helping connect local guides to customers, Vesta helps you find the best vacation possible. As a guide, you get to make money as you show people around your town, and then as a tourist, you simply log onto our app, and then you can pick whichever guide you want. So very similar to an Uber and Tinder mixed together, but for travel. Yes, and our business model is we take a percentage of the fee for every guide. We're also working with universities and also companies to help create a global network of both travelers and guides. And we have worked on this project for over a year. We've gotten guidance from MIT Sandbox, founding members of Kayak, and also we've done that over the past year. And we hope you are willing to we hope you're willing to sorry, thank you guys.
So I imagine Uber and Tinder both have some creepy people on it. How do you assure safety for this type of platform, particularly when people are traveling places where they don't have other friends, they don't have other sources in case something does go wrong?
Definitely. That's a big concern that we had as well. The way we're doing it now is after every match that we have between a guide and a customer, the customer is allowed to rate the guide. And on top of that, for the entirety when they're together, we will track their location to make sure that they're going to the places that they planned, and also that everything goes smoothly, and making sure that we have enough buttons on our UI to make it clear that it's very safe, and if anything was to go wrong, that it's very accessible to call for help.
How do you vet the guides and set up like a standard of quality for the types of events that they're taking tour guide or tourists on?
So what we were thinking was a lot of young travelers really want to have those authentic experiences and really get a feel for the culture. So we want to have activities that are surrounding this idea of personal interactions one-on-one to really get to know the culture, to get to know the tradition, because from our market research that we've done as well, this is what a lot of young travelers ages 20 to 30 want.
Do you have a demo already? Like, have you been using it already?
Yes.
Testing it? Which some of the places are you testing?
Yeah, so we started off here at MIT and partnering up with MIT Tours to give the people touring MIT also a tour of the Boston area. So using that, we just launched like a few weeks ago, and we're still in partnership with them, trying to work out more what we're trying to get. But we're starting off here at MIT and the Cambridge area, and then expanding to more campuses.
What's the secret place at the MIT that people usually don't know?
Oh, secret place. That's a tough question, even as an MIT student. But I think definitely maybe some of like the hideouts, or I think the Green Building has a lot of cool features that a lot of people don't know.
Sorry, I have one more. Like, I think that you check a lot of boxes in terms of like, testing and all things. And how do you prevent other to copy what you're doing? How do you see the competitors? Yeah.
So our competitors right now, Trivago, Expedia, all these big companies, a key thing that they have is to have these one-on-one tours with someone. You need to plan way before the actual event, and it needs to be, A, it's very pre-planned, and B, it's very expensive as well. But with our feature, we want it to be very spontaneous, so minutes before you do an activity, you can go on the app and choose what you want to do. Additionally, we are setting a cap to how much a user can pay per hour, setting it at max $30, so in the 20 to 30 range. So it's very cheap and a very personal experience, but the other like big companies now don't really focus on that side.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
I still haven't done the Freedom Trail, so hopefully someone can take me on that. Up next, we're welcoming Active Services. They are reimagining solar through unlocking a gigaton scale of CO2 reduction through their state-of-the-art lightweight solar panels. Thankfully, I'm not in science.
I'm Shiv from Active Services, and we're reimagining solar. What if I told you only 2% of commercial buildings currently have rooftop solar? That's leaving gigatons of CO2 emissions on the table. A big part of why is commercial warehousing has metal roofs, so they can't sustain the weight of traditional silicon solar panels without expensive reinforcement and racking. Silicon has tried to solve this problem, and our thin film competitors are expensive, they're unreliable, and they're not flexible. For example, this is a flexible silicon cell, and with just a little bit of pressure, it shatters. But our technology is 120 times lighter. You can wave it around, you can crumple it up. It's based on decades of MIT research, and our core IP enabled us to laminate solar cells on any surface reliably. We can revolutionize our market of commercial warehousing worth $40 billion. And our path to market is clear. We'll start with a pilot facility and then own manufacturing to installation. And when we get to scale, we'll focus on driving down manufacturing costs because it's the energy industry. We'll work with solar C&I advisors and implement our product in their portfolio suite. If you can imagine a future where any surface is active, if you can imagine a future where any surface is solar, then join us. And I'm sorry for the mess.
Great.
That was good. I like that. Can you, we hear about these breakthroughs all the time in solar. Can you talk about the economics and does this make economic sense?
Yeah, that's what's revolutionary about this. So when you look at solar costs, there's a lot of parts of the equation. There's the actual module production, which is what silicon's been winning in forever. but there's other parts of the cost. There's labor installation, there's inverters and conduit. When you compare our technology to the incumbent, our costs are going to be similar on an LCOE basis, which is levelized cost, because the module cost in the early stages will be more expensive because like we're at a pilot scale. But in the early stages, our labor will be way lower. Because imagine how heavy it is to lift a 40-pound solar panel on a roof. You can roll these up like yoga mats, carry it up a ladder, and install it. Way cheaper. You save 40 to 50% on labor costs, and that'll end up balancing out in the early days.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So you'd mentioned kind of gigaton scale. With the efficiency of your technology now, or where you see it going, how much surface needs to be covered to have a significant impact on that gigaton scale CO2?
No, fair point. So maybe I'll answer that in two ways. One is if we do attach every commercial warehousing, how much of an impact is that? And then second is how much like land does this compare to incumbent technology? Yeah. So first, if you do all the commercial warehousing, that's around 400 megatons per year. To put that in perspective, that's half the cars in the US being taken off the road tomorrow. That's a huge win. But compared to the incumbent technology, the cool thing about active surfaces, we can laminate any surface to make it active. So solar is already land intensive. You need to put solar farms everywhere. You can use this on areas that are currently being used for other purposes. Commercial warehouses, unused land, so you don't have to take like a farmland away. Similar for other dual use cases, agrivoltaics, commercial shading. So I think the entire goal is for us to dual land use.
If you get, not necessarily this funding, if you get enough funding, what kind of a role the next immediately you need to hire?
The next immediate role. So our team consists of two. Me, I'm an engineer, MBA, and then our co-founder, who's like the best solar technologist I've ever met. He's coming from Vladimir's lab. And I think the next couple of hires are going to be around manufacturing, because we need to get the pilot scale up and running, and that's going to happen in the next year or so. If we can get those couple of critical hires, then I think sales will be done through the founder team.
I'll clean it up real quick. After this presentation. It's okay. We'll clean it up after. Next up, we have a pretty simple science, some quantum coming up. Their mission is to bring disruptive impact to the financial industry with quantum computing software, just the regular average MIT stuff.
Hi, everyone. My name is Marchan, and I'm excited to share with you what we're building at Boston Quantum. We're a complementary team of MIT PhDs and MBAs with experiences spanning quantum computing, finance, software engineering, and more. Our mission is to bring disruptive impact to the financial industry through enterprise quantum computing software. Classical computing today severely limits financial institutions' abilities to rebalance investment portfolios and respond to rapid market movements. Current optimization solutions suffer from high forecast errors and are unable to process large data sets. This leads to portfolios with high risks and low returns. Boston Quantum's solution uses quantum algorithms, which reduce forecast errors and are able to optimize large, complex data sets in feasible short processing times. This leads to portfolios with low risks and high returns. In fact, our optimizer consistently beats the S&P 500, and our risk-adjusted returns outperform the benchmark by as much as 2 times. Our vision is to lead the quantum computing revolution in finance, with a focus on serving hedge funds, asset managers, and banks, a total addressable market of $10 billion and an immediately obtainable market of $1 billion. We just signed our first pilot partner, one of the largest banks in Latin America, and are thrilled to finally share our product with the world. Thank you.
So do you license your technology out on like a subscription monthly basis, or is it a one-time purchase? What is kind of the business model here?
The idea is to be a monthly subscription, especially by accounts. So if the hedge fund or asset managers wants to use for multiple accounts, it would be a monthly fee for each one.
Why don't you start your own high-frequency trading firm? Is it something you could do in-house, or is it something you're going to sell to? Is it better to sell to Charles Schwab or Interactive Brokers or something like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, it's something we consider actually in the long term. The idea is that our solution will give a lot of great inputs for portfolio managers and for asset managers to take their own decisions. So we assume that we have currently the best skills to develop the software and provides the best calculation for these inputs, and that the firm, the hedge funds, and the asset managers have the trading skills and the market skills to take the decision themselves. But this is totally a consideration that we have and a scenario that we consider for the future.
I will note that to benchmark our solution, one thing that we've been considering is actually running a fund in-house, just as not so much as that being our primary way of making money, but to demonstrate to other people that we can deliver.
And how do you think about the feedback loop of certain, what feedback do you need from those hedge fund managers, brokers? What will help progress the technology further as you go forward?
I think the main feedback that we look for them is about the constraints and restrictions that they need for the model itself. So it's very, very technical. So in terms of which kind of constraints, which kind of parameters that they want to tune, with which kind of usability that they need for the feature to get the best outputs. So it's mainly about constraints and features inside the tool to get the best output.
And our goal is to solve large, complex optimization problems. So we're looking to help these financial institutions tackle problems that they have never been able to tackle before. So optimizing portfolios with many, many assets, not just 5 or 10 assets, something that they are not able to do because classical computers simply don't allow that today.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
All right, up next, I'm excited to introduce Glean. They're a team working on helping you measure your own environmental and social impact of your spending.
Over 70% of Gen Z and millennial consumers prefer to support sustainable brands. Sustainability and conscious consumerism are completely transforming shopping and commerce. So then why is it so hard to find environmental and social impact data for even our largest corporations? You have to sift through impact reports and news headlines and certifications. And after all of that effort, you're left wondering, am I even making a difference? I'm just one person. Enter Glean, an app that's for green consumers that empowers them with the impact data and the scale necessary for them to shop their values and make their money make a difference. Glean connects to a user's financial accounts and matches their transaction history with ESG metrics from best-in-class academic, corporate, and government data sets. We make it easy for users to dig in to the objective corporate impact data beneath every transaction. We calculate a Glean score, which summarizes how people and planet-friendly a user's overall consumption is. We then make recommendations for low-lift, sustainable swaps for users to improve their score. When they make those swaps and shop with our positive impact business partners, Glean earns affiliate fees, which we then share back with the users that generate them, effectively a financial reward for supporting sustainable businesses. Our backgrounds in ESG investing, consumer tech, and sustainable brand strategy position us to become leaders in this space. Money talks, and companies are listening. Join us in spending towards a better future.
How do you make money?
So we make money through affiliate marketing. So we partner with sustainable businesses and brands, and then we direct consumers towards them, and then we share in that sale. So typical affiliate fees are like 10 to 15%. And then we're planning on introducing higher margin offerings once we use sort of the affiliate model to build a large community of sustainable shoppers.
Metrics of sustainability are changing, like I'm thinking of carbon credits and things of that nature that are evolving over time. How do you integrate that type of data into your tracking system over time?
I'm sorry, data around?
Sustainability metrics and tracking evolve over time. How are you integrating that data into your system?
So we partner with MSCI ESG, which through which we have access to hundreds of data sets. I mentioned governments, academic institutions, and a lot of like carbon tracking and carbon credit data as well. So all of that feeds into sort of our measurement framework and protocol. So we have access to all this data, and that ranges from not just carbon credits, but also like social data. So that's labor standards, gender diversity on boards, and the like.
Oh, I was going to ask, how do you guys garner trust with your consumers to have them link their bank accounts and their credit cards? And then how do you manage security of all that information?
So, I mean, we partner with Plaid and use their API. So that's the same technology that's used by Venmo and other sort of trusted tech companies. So that adds a bit of security. But I'll turn it to Mike to describe sort of our security policy.
Yeah, I think we're partnering with a law firm to kind of navigate through all of the requirements in terms of privacy with consumer data and things like that, and security. The platform that we're using to build our MVP, which is nearly complete and almost ready to launch, is kind of industry leading. So the security is kind of taken care of. We're covered from a legal perspective, and then as far as getting consumers to kind of trust the data on there, I think. It's all about transparency and making sure that all the data is available out there if you want to go and see it.
So there's kind of like two parts here. It's like the trust for connecting your financial information and also the trust in the underlying data. And on the second piece of that, we're super transparent, and all of our sort of rating schemes are made available to our users.
Awesome.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
Great job, Glean. Next up, we have Stepwise. They're setting out to make residential electrification accessible to homeowners. Take it away. Stepwise. Step. Do you want to grab a regular mic?
So the US federal government has committed over $8 billion to electrify our homes. So that means the way we cook, the way we heat or cool our homes, and even the way we charge our cars in the future. But a lot of US homeowners who live in older homes are facing electric panels that are full and sometimes don't have the right electrical capacity. And there's estimated 48 million US homeowners who experience this, and they require costly service upgrades. Now, the cost of that upgrade could be about $6,000 for an EV charger, and that's because of the extensive labor and material costs involved. Now, compare that to a $600 charger. That's a huge sticker shock for your average consumer. So this is where Stepwise comes in. We are building a box that's essentially an alternative to that service upgrade. The way it works is that we monitor how much you're using in your panel while adjusting an EV charger or other load accordingly. So by doing that, we can actually save the customer up to 75% off the installation price. And so instead of having this costly infrastructure change, we're essentially using the software in this box to unlock additional capacity in your panel by more intelligently shifting and managing your energy usage. Now, my team is comprised of myself. I have experience installing chargers in a previous business, a mechanical engineer, and an electrician who's a certified Tesla installer. We've actually deployed our first prototype and are on track to deploying our second next week. So we believe in a future where everyone is able to afford electrification. And to do that, we need to do it in a stepwise manner. So join us. Thank you.
Could you talk more about these electromechanical boxes and what limitations they might have on the older houses that we have? Are there wiring restrictions? Just talk more about the actual product.
Yeah, so imagine a product that's kind of box-like, so it's a device. It would basically sit between your electric panel and whatever load you're adding. So in this case, an EV charger, let's say. So your EV charger could be outside the house, but the electrician would basically wire them. And the way this box would work is it takes the place of a very expensive and massive service upgrade. What that entails is you're essentially swapping out that original panel with a new one. You have to reconnect all the breakers and the wires. You need to work with the utility to stop power for a while and bring in a new wire. So when you put all of that together, it takes like a day or so for 2 people to do. With our box, it's using software that overlays the physical product, and it can like basically read how much energy is being used in your panel, through the main breakers, and accordingly moderate how much energy is going into your EV charger. So if you can imagine that, it just means that we can be smart about, when usage goes up, your charger can be turned down. When usage goes down, your charger can be turned up. So you never exceed your capacity.
Gotcha. Thank you.
No worries.
Do you sell to homeowners or the people who install the...
That's a great question. So our go-to-market strategy is via installers. So we're selling through installers to the homeowners, and that's because the installers are essentially like the educators in this case, right? Because homeowners are not thinking about electric panels. I'm sure this is news to a lot of people. And not to mention, we get repeat business through the installers.
Will consumers eventually have to make the expensive upgrade, and how long are you pushing off that upgrade?
That's also a great question. So we've looked a lot of secondary and even primary data around energy usage, and the crazy thing is that most people are only using 20 to 30% of that capacity at any given time. One of the big reasons that people have to upgrade today is because the National Electric Code, which governs how electricians do load calculations and whether an upgrade is needed, is extremely conservative. So the estimates that go in are saying your charger is turned on 24/7, continuous 100% of the time. And that's by far not at all close to reality. And so we've basically found a way to comply with the standards and take advantage of it, but also understand that most people actually are not using all of that energy during the day and are able to shift it. Now, that being said, there's going to be a small portion of people who will need the upgrade. So it's not 100% of the market.
Are these off the shelf, or do you build them to order? How does it work?
It will be off the shelf. So right now we're in the process of designing a couple because there are slight differences in homes. But for the most part, you can buy them off the shelf.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Okay, wait. Thank you, Stepwise. Very wise. Okay. Okay, this is something I really, really need. Desperate. It's a social discovery app for women that helps them find new social circles as they enter new stages in their lives. That's a lot of us.
I graduated from college in 2017 and felt very prepared for adulthood. I moved to Chicago, got a great job, and was even in a stable relationship, but I felt lonely. I was missing a local group of girlfriends like I had in college. And I quickly realized making friends as an adult is really hard. I'm not alone in this experience. 61% of young women struggle with loneliness and making new friends, and the pandemic made it worse. This matters because research shows that social isolation negatively impacts a woman's physical health and even career mobility. We interviewed hundreds of women and found that the current solutions are not effective in helping them make new friends. These solutions either function like dating apps with awkward one-on-one swiping, or as large impersonal forums like Facebook groups and Meetup. Libby takes a fresh approach by helping women make friends through small group socialization. We algorithmically match and rotate women through compatible groups of 4 to 6, nudging them to meet in real life through curated event recommendations. This summer, we tested with 200 women in Boston, charging $5 per match and building our waitlist to over 1,500 women. These tests confirm the potential of a subscription-based business model and targeting young professional women in the US, a market worth $1 billion. Friendships matter, and our female-founded team is dedicated to helping women prioritize them again. So empower the women in your life by bringing them together on Libby. Thank you.
Sure. So what cities do you plan to launch this in? And what is kind of the expansion plan? So when you land in a city, do you start with groups of friends who already exist, who are inviting their friends, or is there some other plan?
Yeah, so we're actually first targeting what we call tier 2 cities. So not New York, not LA, not Chicago. So think cities like Boston, Philadelphia. But mostly it's based on size, and mostly because we find that women actually, there's less likelihood of knowing someone through a mutual friend that you might have like in New York. Our expansion strategy is starting right here in Boston. We want to start in Boston, build a community that trusts us, and then expand from city to city.
This may get a little bit philosophical. So the friendship has so many different layers, right? Like there's a shared experience, profession, hobbies, and all the things. How does your app define friendship? In the sense, like how does that drive you to basically create criteria for people to match together?
Yeah, sure. So I think, dating apps don't tell you that they're going to find your future partner necessarily, but they give you the opportunity to meet people, and we're kind of taking a similar model there. We can't promise you that we're going to find you a best friend, but what we do want to do is find you social circles for every area of life. And people like going out to drinks with one group of friends, and then they prefer having, nights in, movie night with a different group of friends. And we can provide groups for all of those occasions and for all types of women in different stages of life.
Yeah, and the truth is that developing a strong friendship takes time. But what we can do is get your foot through the door. And I think what we learned from all the interviews we did is people want reciprocity. Women want to be friends with other women that also want to be their friend. And this platform kind of puts all those women in one pool.
Any expansion for men, perhaps?
Actually, that's our number one asked question.
We believe that something like this is actually needed for men. Definitely, we've heard it every time we've pitched. But I think the solutions would need to be really different, and we're probably not the people to build the solution for men. But we think it needs to be done. So if anyone in the audience wants to do it, you should do it. We'll help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Libby. And now we've reached our final pitch. So last, but absolutely not least, we have Neurobionics, a platform technology enhancing the way we interface with the human body.
Hi, everyone. Autonomous car, tele-robotic surgery, exoskeleton, and prosthetics that outperform the human body. All those technologies are being developed today and will be commonplace in the world of tomorrow. But how do our body communicate with those technology in a way that is naturalistic and seamless? Neurobionics is here to redefine human-machine interfaces. During my PhD, I've been developing these fibers that can bidirectionally interface with the body at high resolution. They've been validated in mice, rats, pigs, and monkey. Imagine a spider-like web of fibers that can spread into your muscle after a single injection. This device will then interface with an armband that will then communicate with your phone, with your prosthetics, or with your exoskeleton. Our beachhead market will be the $750 million market of upper limb prosthetics, where we're here to solve a key issue. The issue is that because of the low-resolution interfaces, the advances in robotics and prosthetics have not translated to improved quality of life. By providing an interface that is naturalistic and lifelike, we will enable the patient to fully benefit from their advanced prosthetics. Our device will be implanted alongside the prosthesis and will follow a similar reimbursement pathway. Our team consists in people with expertise in engineering, medical devices, marketing, and entrepreneurship. Support us in our quest to interface with the human body and modulate its function to overcome disease and improve human capabilities. Thank you.
Do you have a working prototype currently?
Well, this is not working. This is just a demo. But we've been developing those fibers for like the past 10 years. And originally, we implanted them into the brain, where we've used them to modulate and recall activity. We've put them into the spinal cord. We've put them into the GI tract to modulate motility as well. We've now putting it into the skeletal muscle, where we want to use them as an interface. Basically, the 1 second catch line is we want to be the neural link, but for the peripheral nerve interfacing, so that we can interface with the world around us in a naturalistic way, not using a keyboard or a mouse.
It sounds rather invasive. What's the regulatory hurdles that you've got to deal with?
It's going to be all of it. So we're going to be a class 3 medical device. So we're going to have to go through the full pipeline, either through maybe a 510K or like a classic pre-market approval. Right now, what we're banking and what's set us aside for most of the invasive devices is that our device can be deployed with just one single injection. So with a needle that is a 10-gauge needle, we can then place the fiber, and we have a diverter where all of those fibers then spread into the muscle and then interface to all the muscle of interest.
I might have missed in your presentation, but can you explain again who will be the first type of patient that the technology used for?
So people with upper limb prosthetics, because I'm sure you've seen all of those crazy advances in prosthetics where we have these very, very intricate arms with 40 degrees of freedom and tactile feedback and everything. The issue is that they are not being used by the patient because they don't feel human and they don't feel real, because right now the way those arms are being, prosthetic arms are being controlled is by using surface EMG, and those are very noisy and you have a low spatial and temporal resolution. By going directly into the muscle, we can both recall the activity much faster and much more precisely, but also can stimulate, which means we can provide feedback. So let's say, in the future, if you want to go to the world of AR and VR, you grabbing an object in virtual reality, then we can send an electrical pulse into the muscle, and then your muscle will tense and you will feel resistance.
Yeah.
So that's the idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Neurobionics. The judges will now begin to deliberate.
Awesome. So voting for the audience choice is now open. You'll have 5 minutes to vote. If you're in the room, please scan the QR code. And if you're using on the webcast, there's a link at the very top for you to vote. And just keep in mind that only votes in this voting period will be counted. And you guys will have around the next 5 to 10 minutes to do so.
Make sure you grab the code because I'm going to move on from here.
It's tinyurl. If the QR code isn't working, it's tinyurl/100K pitch 2022.
So next up, while the judges deliberate, we're going to hear from John Hawthorne, from whom I've had the pleasure of learning so much. John is the founder and managing director of Two Lanterns. Oh, there we go. John is the founder and managing director of Two Lanterns Venture Partners, an industry-agnostic $25 million seed fund focused on US and Israeli software startups. Prior to launching Two Lanterns in 2020, John was the founder and 10-year CEO of Mass Challenge, the most startup-friendly accelerator on the planet. While John was CEO, around 3,000 Mass Challenge alumni raised well over $8.5 billion of funding and generated over $3.5 billion of revenue and created over 180,000 jobs. The World Economic Forum elected John as one of the 2013 Young Global Leaders, and Ernst & Young selected John as the Social Entrepreneur of the Year in New England for 2013. John earned his MBA right here at MIT, Sloan School of Management in 2007. While at school, John won grand prize in the 2007 MIT 100K Business Plan Competition and received the 2007 Patrick J. McGovern Award for Impact on Quality and Visibility of Entrepreneurship at MIT. And now we're honored to have John Hawthorne here with us.
Hello. All right, thank you. Hello, everybody. All right. That was awesome. They were great. That was pretty phenomenal. You guys having fun? standing room only. There's a lot of people at the back. If it looks like some seats have opened up, so if you want to come on down and grab a seat. Thank you very much all for joining us here tonight to celebrate the, is this maybe getting a little feedback? Okay, great. So thank you all for coming out to celebrate the participants and soon to be also some winners of the pitch competition here at the MIT 100K. As a former 100K winner, I can say it was one of the best things that ever happened to me. One of my absolute pinnacles of my career. I loved it. I learned a ton. I met amazing people. So I'm glad to have the opportunity and proud to be back here again. So thank you. I'm grateful for that. And to speak with you guys. And I would note that it is very much, I also was an organizer of the 100K and of the Global Startup Workshop, and I can tell you it is very difficult to organize events like this. And so I think we should give a huge round of applause to the organizers. Especially difficult as very busy MIT students, and also, of course, they are not alone in making this work. There's a lot of stakeholders involved. There's judges, there's mentors, there's sponsors. So let's give one more quick round of applause for everybody that contributed. And of course, ultimately, we're here to celebrate the startups, but don't applaud them just yet, because I want to talk to you about a couple of things first and kind of tell you a little bit of background on myself and why I believe that startups are the salvation of humanity. Right? That's kind of a big statement, so I will unpack that for you, but I really do believe it. First off, my name is John Harthorne, MBA 2007. I'm going to repeat a little bit that was already covered. Winner of the overall MIT 100K back in 2007. Today I run a seed fund called Two Lanterns Venture Partners, $25.5 million seed fund. We've made 23 investments so far since 2020. We committed to our 24th today. Our 25th is coming next week. So we're actively investing. We love any kind of software startup. We're industry agnostic, US and Israel. Only for geographies. So if you have one, we would love to chat with you. Please feel free to reach out. We're at 2l.vc. That's how you can find us online. The number 2, the letter L.vc. All right, and I'm John at 2l.vc. All right. So with that behind me, I am probably better known and more relevantly here because I was the founder and longtime CEO of Mass Challenge. And for those of you who are not familiar, Mass Challenge is the most startup-friendly accelerator on the planet. I believe it is the largest startup accelerator in history. As noted, we graduated 3,000 startups over the 10-year period that I was running it, more than that really, but at least 3,000. We ran dozens of programs all over the world. We operated on every continent, every populated continent. We have not been in Antarctica yet, as far as I know. And those startups raised probably now well over $9 billion of funding. They've generated tons of revenue, 180,000 jobs. So it's massively, massively impactful. And for those of you that are either not software startups or are at a very early stage and maybe not ready for VC, strongly recommend you check out Mass Challenge and apply. They have dozens of programs active right now. In Boston, there's at least 4 or 5, I think, active, some that are specific to fintech, health tech, some generalist programs for early stage. They're in Boston, they're in Providence, Rhode Island, Dallas, Houston, Austin, Mexico City, Geneva, and Jerusalem. And I'm missing some. There's also a safety security, there's a climate one, there's a food tech. So they cover really a massive breadth. So pretty much anything that you are working on, Mass Challenge, I guarantee, has a program for you. So check out masschallenge.org. All right. Mass Challenge, and not only being the largest startup accelerator, is no strings attached. All right? Anybody can enter from anywhere in the world with any startup in any industry, and Mass Challenge does not take any equity or any revenue and does not place any restrictions on the startups that participate. It is a nonprofit. All right? So why would we launch that? Right? So it's incredibly hard to launch a startup, and I launched a nonprofit startup accelerator to work at massive scale with all startups all around the world, and we did not take any money from any of them, and I am still poor today because of it. But now I launched a VC fund, so hopefully that will pay off and I will make some money soon. All right, so why did we bother to launch it? So we launched Mass Challenge to restore creativity to the soul of the global economy. All right? That's a lot to unwrap, and I'll unwrap it for you in a second. But again, startups are the salvation of mankind. And that's going to be my main theme here, and that's going to lead into a huge round of applause ultimately for the founders of these many startups that you saw earlier tonight. So to unpack these statements, restoring creativity to the soul of the global economy, I'm going to take you back in time a little bit, all right? I graduated Sloan 2007. I had $150,000 of student loans. I do not have a trust fund. So I went to Bain & Company to get the signing bonus, the big salary, and the end of year bonus to pay down my student loans. And then my plan was right after that first big bonus, I'm going to get the hell out of there, and I'm going to launch a startup, which is what I really want to do. All right, but I graduated 2007. So the first big bonus came in December 2008, which you may recall was the collapse of the financial universe, right? So actually, as part of winning the 100K, part of the prize was we got to ring the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange in I think it was May 17th of 2007. Dow was at around 13,500. By December 2008, it was below 9,000. Right, so and most of that occurred in the 2 months leading up to that period. It was a massive drop. It was honestly, it was way scarier than the pandemic, than anything that we've been through more recently. It was devastating. People talked about the next Great Depression, like bread lines and dust bowls and 10 years of loss and stagnation, and probably the end of the Western economic model. This was it. It was really devastating. So hard time. I was married. I am married still. I say marriage. I had one kid. I had one kid. Now I have two. But I had one young child. I had a mortgage. I had car payments. I still had student loans because even though I made a bunch of money at Bain & Company, when you're doing a soul-sucking job that you hate, you have to bribe your soul to show up at work every day. And so you buy yourself lots of nice stuff and you buy drinks for everybody to try to convince yourself that it's actually worthwhile. So I did not pay down a lot of my student loans. So here I am in December 2008, and I'm lying in bed awake, angry at the world, angry at Wall Street in particular for destroying the financial universe through just basically greed, right? And thinking, this sucks. I have to be a consultant forever now. And I never wanted to be a consultant. And this is super frustrating. But I convinced myself, look, I won the 100K. I know a lot about startups. I ran a conference on how to create startups all around the world. I have lots of contacts. I definitely should be able to launch a startup. So I brainstormed like crazy. I was up, numerous nights. I wrote a dozen or so executive summaries for startups, and they all sucked. And I crumpled them all up, and I threw them away. And here I am lying in bed at 4 in the morning, not sleeping, thinking, shit, I got to get up in an hour and a half and go to this job that I hate. Probably going to have to do it forever. This sucks. And I'm thinking, what happened? How did we get here? When I graduated, it was I was on top of the world. I graduated from this amazing program. I won awards. I got accepted into this top consulting firm. My life was awesome. And now I feel depressed. I think I was clinically depressed. It was just darkness and suffering as far as I could see. And yet I couldn't leave Bain & Company, even though I hated it, because I had all these loans. And so I'm just stuck in this pattern. And it was I literally thought about running away and going to the islands, starting a bar and just drinking myself to death quietly in the islands. But I'm also married with a kid, and I'm trapped, and it was terrible. And so I thought back to some of the simple lessons from Sloan, thought back to strategy class, and there's sort of two very fundamental basic requirements of any business or any organization, really, any entity, including governments, everything, which is basically the first and foremost, you have to create value. You got to do or make something new and different that adds value to the world, right? That's your first priority. Second is you can capture some of that value. Right? So you take you create a pool of value, and then you get to keep some of that value, and the rest is shared with the rest of society. So you can think of creating value like making pie, right? You take in a bunch of raw materials. I don't really know how to make pie, so bear with me, but I think it's flour and water and eggs maybe, and butter probably, and a bunch of berries and sugar, right? And you mix it together in a new way that makes it more valuable than the materials that you got. So you've added value to those materials. You've created value, right? So you're creating pie. And then you get to keep a slice in return, and that's capturing value. You get to keep a slice, and the rest goes to society and to other people to benefit, okay? So the problem at that time, what happened was too many people were fighting over slices of pie, trying to get a bigger slice of the pie, and not enough people were making pie, right? So you have not enough value creators, but too many people trying to extract maximum profit from the system. And when everybody's fighting over slices of pie and not enough people are creating pie, you run out of pie. Like, it's pretty simple, right? So the key realization here is that startups are pie creators. This is where value gets created. Large companies inherently are incentivized. They're not evil, they're just logically incentivized, and they have the resources and the capabilities to extract value from value chains that they already created long ago. So you create this massive amount of pie, and then over time, your incentives become to increase your share of that pie naturally. And the only way to combat that is to constantly create a new influx of startups that are creating new value sources that degrade the ability of the larger companies to just extract at massive scale. And so we need to have constant flow of startups into the system in order to optimize the creative potential of the system, in order to create maximum wealth, maximum jobs, maximum hope and optimism, engagement of our youth and all of our raw talent and materials. And so startups are the salvation of mankind. That is, they save the economy and they make life worth living. All right, so here I am lying in bed, all of this going around in my head, pissed at Wall Street, angry that I have to be a consultant forever, and I'm thinking, this sucks. Like, we need startups more than ever. I want to launch a startup, but I can't figure it out. And I graduated from one of the top universities in the world and won awards within entrepreneurship, and I can't figure out how to launch a startup in this incredibly shitty economy where everything is negative and dark. And so if I can't do it, then we're really screwed, right? Because then it's like not that many other people that should be able to do this. And I thought, God, somebody's got to fix this. Like, somebody has got to make it easier to launch startups. Or we're going to like ruin the entire Western economic model. And then I kind of half fell asleep. And I woke up with like an adrenaline shot to the heart. Like, if you've seen Pulp Fiction, that like, I woke up like wide awake. Like, I remember it very intensely. And it was just this core realization, I'm somebody. Why don't I do that? That'll be my startup. I'll make it easier for other people to launch startups. That's the maximum value that I can create anyway, because my one startup has limited probability of success, and even if it is successful, is not going to probably impact all billions of people on the planet. But if I can help 100 or 1,000 or 3,000 startups to get launched and become successful, connect them with funding, connect them with press, connect them with talent, connect them with office space, all of which was in excess supply because we were in the depth of a massive recession. Offices were empty. Lawyers are sitting on their hands. Investors are waiting, not sure what to do, right? Talent was widespread, massive layoffs. So all those inputs are there. We just need to aggregate them, compile them together, and that became the idea for Mass Challenge. And that was, we issued literally a challenge to the world. Bring out the best ideas from anywhere on the planet. Anybody with any good idea that can create value for humanity, bring it together. We'll identify the best. The first program was 111, and then it was 128, and now we're graduating 650 a year. So we'll bring together the best of the best from everywhere, and then we'll connect you with money, with resources, with lawyers, with talent. Office space is free. Everything is free. Nobody's allowed to charge you anything during the nature of the program because it should be minimal friction, because these are literally the saviors of humanity. This is the only way that we can get out of it, was to grow our way out of it. So that was how we launched Mass Challenge. I've totally lost track of where I am in this. Brainstormed like crazy. All right. So basically what that all comes down to is that startups are the salvation of humanity, right? And that is why I want you to give an enormous round of applause for all of the startups that pitched tonight, regardless of how well they did on stage, regardless of whether they're going to be successful. It's incredibly difficult just to ideate, just to plan out the models. There's a million pitfalls, a million ways a startup can fail, and typically only one or two ways in which it can succeed. So they're taking on enormous risk, all for our benefit. Right? There's incredible opportunities that you saw here. If even one or two of the startups that pitched tonight become successful, huge impact on humanity. Numerous people will benefit from what they are doing, and they're doing it at great risk instead of taking the $175,000 job at Bain or at investment banking to take enormous risk and probably not get paid for 6 months, maybe ever, mortgaging their families and their lives and their spouses and everybody to just focus intensely on, it's really brutal. It is like mostly suffering, I gotta be honest with you. So let's give a huge round of applause for all of the startups that pitched tonight, please. All right, so I think that they're not quite ready. So I'm just going to ad lib a little bit. All right. So let me tell you a couple of fun stories from the founding of Mass Challenge that will help to highlight how brutally difficult and random this is. The other thing that you learn, I think, as a founder that has had even a modicum of success is that it requires an enormous amount of luck. Right? You can work your ass off, and yes, you can work your way into making luck. You can make your own luck to a certain extent, but there's also just a huge amount of randomness in the system, and the odds are stacked against you, so you're probably not going to make it, and if you do, it's usually because something incredible happened that was just or somebody was incredibly generous with you. So let me take you through a couple of examples here. We had to raise our first dollar. We had this idea. We built out this beautiful deck. You almost ready for me? All right. So it's all good. I'll talk all night. These guys, there'll be like 3 people left in the audience, like crying, like please say. All right, so we built the deck and we decided, all right, we got to raise some money. That's like one of the first most difficult things you got to do is figure out where's your first dollar coming from. So I had run the Global Startup Conference when I was here at school. Desh Deshpande was one of the keynote speakers. He's an amazing individual, like absolutely one of my favorite human beings on the planet. Incredibly high integrity, incredibly smart, incredibly hardworking, generous, amazing person. We also had Dean Kamen and a couple of other great speakers. Desh was my favorite. I loved him, and so I wanted to pitch to him. So we contacted him and I said, hey, I had this idea and I want to pitch it to you. Do you have time? And he said, sure, meet me on Sunday at the Marriott Hotel in Kendall Square in the lobby. And he gave me a half-hour window. So I get there and I'm sort of practicing in advance. I got my rest of my team there. And you see all these other kids just walking around, all these other young sort of fresh students walking around practicing their pitch. And you realize, and you look over and you see Desh on the couch and you realize he's blocked off like 6 hours to take 12 half-hour pitches on a Sunday. This is a guy that does not need to do this, right? You get that he has an institute named after him at MIT. He's incredibly wealthy. He's launched 4 startups that each had an IPO above $1 billion. The guy does not need new ideas, but he's doing this to pay it forward, to give people his expertise and guidance. So we sit down, we start to pitch him. We have this like glorious all-colored deck. We're flipping through. We're so excited, firing through. And he just stops and puts his hands down and goes, stop. Is this all you do? And I was like, yeah, this is what we do. He goes, you don't have any other jobs? Do you have other jobs? Is this a side job or are you doing this now? And we're like, no, we all quit our jobs. This is all we do. And he goes, oh, okay, well, you should have started with that. Then I can help you. All right, keep going, right? And then so his first test was commitment, right? If you're asking me to take a risk on you, you better be taking a risk too. And I know you don't have the money, that's fine, right? You're gonna ask me for money and I have the money, but you have other things that you can risk. So if you're not taking a risk, then you're not taking it seriously, and then I'm not gonna take it seriously. So that was his first test. Then he goes through the pitch and he says, all right, I like it. It sounds good. Why don't you talk to these 30 other people and come back and tell me what they said. He made 30 introductions for us. And he made introductions that night at like 11 p.m. We sent him a template. He made them at 11 p.m. Every single person had answered by 10 a.m. And these were presidents of universities, the founders of multiple VC groups, like large venture funds, top law firms. There were amazing people that he introduced us to. Everybody answers Desh, right? Because everybody loves him. He's got the Midas touch. So we go and we have all those meetings. We get a signed letter of support from every single one of the 30 saying, this is a great idea. We think that this could create jobs and growth in Massachusetts. It was mostly focused on Massachusetts at that time. And we come back, we have our next meeting with Desh. We lay them all out on the table like it's a royal flush, like 30 meetings, 30 signed letters. What do you think about that? And he goes, okay, so you're good at marketing. Who gives a shit? And we're like, what do you mean, who gives? That was our task. That's what we did. We crushed it. This is like an A+. You can't do any better than this. And he goes, all right, take it away. Who's gonna write you the first check? You've been selling ideas. That's easy. Who wouldn't sign a piece of paper? It's totally free. Ideas are free. That's the easy part. Everybody loves ideas. Who's gonna write the first check? Go get some money and come back when you have some money, right? And so we're like, all right. So we go and we had decided at that point that we thought it was gonna be the governor, because the stimulus package from Obama had been spread down to the states. So we decided to go after Governor Deval Patrick. We studied it. Turns out most of that money was under the control and auspices of the Secretary for Economic Development and Housing, Greg Bielecki, so we stalked him. We followed him. He was trying to be very cool and hip, and he was on Twitter and social media, so we just followed his every move and what he was doing, and it turns out he was presenting at the MIT 100K award ceremony, and he was declaring it Massachusetts Supports Business Plan Competitions Day, and we were like, dude, that is our day, right? So we had learned, another good tip that I learned at the MIT Entrepreneurship Center, after a speaker speaks, people will rush the stage often and try to grab them at the stage. And they're usually like being whisked away, and you get like 10 seconds of time, and they're like, okay, that's great, yeah, sounds good, okay, bye-bye, I gotta go, see ya. And then that's it, you get very little time, and you get lost in the crowd. Better wait outside and walk them to their car, because they're a captive audience and they cannot leave you, right? So that's what we did, is we waited at all the doors. We had the three of us, one at each door in the Kresge Auditorium, and we waited outside, and as he walked out, I was like, hello, are you Secretary Greg Bielecki? Hi, how would you like to hear about an idea that could create hundreds of new jobs and hundreds of new businesses and thousands of new jobs in Massachusetts? And he's like, I'm listening. And then we opened up my folder, and I gave him a free tie that I had won earlier in the day. And like his presents, that was like from marketing class. If you give people gifts, then they're more likely to support you. This like escalation of commitment stuff. I was using everything in the book. And then we gave him laminated copies of our one-pager and everything. And we had it all laid out for him. And he was like, I usually don't do this, but can you guys come to my office on Monday? And so we were like, yeah, totally. And so he gave us the phone number of his assistant. We called, and she was like, look, he is booked for 3.5 months straight. You got to get that. He does not have a free moment on his schedule. So he canceled meetings to make time for you guys. You better not fuck this up. So we were like, okay, I got it. So we had all of our supporters that wrote the 30 letters. We had them all call him and email him to verify that they were real. That like we didn't fake the letters or anything, and to strongly encourage him to support this. So when we walk into the office, at that time, director of entrepreneurship at the MIT Entrepreneurship Center was on the phone with Greg Bielecki, and that guy was a very hardcore sales guy and like very aggressive. And so you could hear him talking through the receiver on the phone from Greg Bielecki. And you could hear him say, listen, there's only two ways you're gonna get ourselves out of this hole. One is you're gonna support these kids, and we're gonna create new startups and new jobs and new wealth and new growth. And two is you're gonna break out your tin cup, and you're gonna go down to South Station and start begging for money. There ain't no other way. So you better help these kids. And he's like, okay, I got it, I gotta go, bye. And he hung up, and he's like, you could see him flustered and like confused. And he sits down, and we start with our pitch. We just start firing away at him, and he just stops us, and he's like, stop. Look, I wanna help you. What do you want? And we were like, all right, so first of all, we want the governor to endorse it. And he goes, okay, easy, done. All right, and we're like, okay. Second of all, we want you to help identify other people that could be supportive and in helping us. He goes, great, yes, we'll help with that. And it was like, and the third thing is like, somebody's got to write the first check. And it seems like the state has the most to gain because you get all of the jobs, all of the tax revenue. You guys are desperate to create jobs. You'll get votes for trying to produce stuff. So like, you got, the first check is kind of dumb money, and you guys have the most to gain, so you should be that first check, and we think we can unlock money from these other 30 signature folks if you write us that first check. And he's like, all right, John, you know what I did this morning? I laid off firefighters and teachers. This is not a good time for me to be writing a check to 3 kids that I've never met before. How much money do you guys need? And I was like, we like had not planned for that at all. And I was like, I don't know, like $100,000? And he's like, all right, done. I'll get you $100,000. Give me 30 days. I'll get you $100,000. And we're like, awesome. So as we started to leave, he goes, all right, I'll get you $100,000, but listen, tell your people to stop fucking calling me. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. No more fucking calls. And I was like, oh my God. So then we leave, and we go and we call Desh, and we say, hey, we got our first check. So we go to meet Desh, and Desh is like, you got your first check. That's awesome. How much did you get? $100K. And he goes, I'll match it. And now we've got $200K. And then he says, I'll cut it short now because we got our judges back, the moment we've all been waiting for. So, but this is a good part of the story. I can't skip the punchline. So now we have $200K, all within like a 10-hour span. And then he says, listen, how much do you need? We said for the planning stage, we wanted $350K. So he's like, you need $150K more. Let's split it. I'll go find you $75K. You guys go find $75K. And we're like, awesome. So he's even gonna get us $75K more. We only gotta get 70. We're like, this is unbelievable. So we get in our car, we're driving away from his house. He calls us about 15 minutes later, and he says, I'm done. How you doing on your $75K? And we're like, were you kidding? Dude, we don't even have a lead. We have nothing. He goes, tell you what, I'm gonna call you tomorrow at noon. I expect you to have it done by then. And we're like, It's 9 p.m., dude. We have 0 ideas. Like, we don't even have a single name. We have nothing. So he's like, well, the governor put his neck on the line. I'm putting my neck on the line. Get it done. And then he hung up on us, and I was like, oh, shit. So we went back, we brainstormed, who's got a rich uncle, who knows somebody, like anybody, right? So, and we freaked out. We called the governor's office because they were supporting us, and we said, hey, first of all, good news. Second of all, scary news. So first of all, good news. We got Desh on board, and the other money he got was from the Kauffman Foundation, so they're also on board. So, but now we still need $75K, and we don't know how to get it. Can you tell us where to go to get it? And they were like, well, I can't give you tips on how to get it. We're not allowed to. There's like legal barrier, and I can't tell other people to give you money. But I'll tell you what, you're no longer asking for money. You're offering a corporation the opportunity to participate in an announcement made by the governor, Desh Deshpande, and the Kauffman Foundation. So you're going to call the 30 corporations you know, and you're going to say, I have a list of 30 phone calls to make. I called you first because I want you to have this opportunity because it's so amazing. And if you don't want it, it's going to be taken in 5 minutes. So you need to decide right now, are you going to be in on this or not? And that's your pitch. And I was like, okay, great, but I don't have 30 corporations to call. Who am I going to call? And they were like, I can't tell you who to call. But, listen, we're going to announce it at Microsoft, so. But, you guys got to figure out on your own who to talk to. So you guys go do that. And I was like, well, okay, great. That's good. It's at Microsoft. But who should I call? And he's like, it's going to be announced at Microsoft. So probably give them a heads up. But I don't know. I can't tell you what to do. So you guys figure it out. And he had to say like 6 times. He's like, Microsoft, look, I can't tell you who to call, okay? But listen, here's the contact number at Microsoft. They're going to be coordinating the announcement. So, give them a heads up. And so we did, and they committed. But they said they will only put in $50K. And I was like, no, it's $100K. So I can't take $50K. And they're like, dude, I'm giving you $50K. I'm giving you $50,000. You can't say no. There's no strings attached to it. And I was like, no, it's got to be $100K. The governor put in $100K. They're laying off firefighters and teachers. You guys are like a super profitable company. I'm not taking $50K. And they were like, oh, we'll give you $50K of software on top of it. I was like, no. That's like giving cigarettes to kids. Like, I'll let you give away $50K of software, but that doesn't matter to me. I can't spend software money. And eventually we talked them up to the $75K, which is what we really needed. And as the last little fun anecdote, I told Deval Patrick, who was the governor, when he announced it, he was like, all right, so who we got here is the other sponsors. All right, great, I'm going to make the announcement. Awesome. And I was like, hey, listen, but you can't say that Microsoft is a founding sponsor because they only put in $75K. And that was the deal. $100K is founding sponsor, $75K is just sponsor. So just say they're a sponsor. And he's like, all right, John, so like 2 days ago you had $0. Nobody had ever heard of you, right? We're about to make an announcement to a room of 350 of the most influential, important IT professionals in the entire state. You have $350,000, which was your target. They're giving you $75,000, and you don't want to call them a founding sponsor? I was like, that's correct. And he's like, okay, got it. And he got up to the podium, and he's like, I'd like to, and he's just staring me in the face. I'd like to thank our other founding sponsors, Microsoft, Desh Deshpande, and he just totally went, and I was like, okay, I got it, you're in charge. I forgot, sorry, my bad. But anyway, that's just like one day in the life of a startup, or a couple days. It's an incredible journey, it's a blast, but it is topsy-turvy all over the place. And right now, a couple people are going to go home super happy, and some of you are going to not go home as happy, but I think you all did a phenomenal job. You took the risk. You came up with an amazing idea. You pitched great, everybody. So one last round of applause for them, and then let's give it over to the judges.
Thank you so much, John. As always, very, very, very inspiring. Gonna skip. One more try. Can we maybe advance by one?
Okay. So thank you all for coming out tonight. It was a really, really close deliberation for the judges, and even for the audience choice, it was incredibly close. And I'd just like to say this one thing before we announce the judges, announce the winners. Every single team here today went through a preliminary round, and that took 80 to 100 judges, and they went through a whole score normalization, and these were the top teams. So to us and to the audience and to everyone in this room, you guys are already winners. But for the sake of this competition,
woo!
So for the sake of this competition, we do have to announce quote unquote, the winners. So for the audience choice, there's a $2,000 award, and for the grand prize, it's $5,000. And for the runner-up, there's $1,000 each. So, Eski?
And the winner of the Audience Choice Award is Medicana.
Congratulations. And for the runner-ups, we have Stepwise, Medicana, and Vesta.
It was a very, very tough deliberation round from what we heard.
And now, a round of applause for the grand prize winner of this year's 100K Pitch Finals competition. We have Active Surfaces. Congratulations.
You're welcome. Congratulations. Alrighty, thank you to everyone who joined us today. This is a completely student-run initiative, and we thank you for joining us. And thank you to the organizing team, everyone who played a part in this, the AV team. Thank you for such a smooth transition. And most importantly, to our competitors today, we're so excited that you're part of this journey, and we hope to see you in Accelerate. Take care, and good night.